Yeah, so there we go. So I'm just going to talk about how I get interested in making films because I don't really know anything else, to be honest. I think that's kind of like, even since I was wee, I've just wanted to make films. So my granddad basically used to run about a camcorder all the time. Like whatever we were doing, he'd have a camcorder. It was like almost attached to his body. It was like that integral to his being. He used to shoot stuff on like Super 8 and all that before I was born, and I used to watch all these kind of films, and I was just kind of mesmerized by it all. It was a mixture of that and Jurassic Park that just made me go, "Whoa, this is what I want to do." And yeah, and this is as anytime I think about jelly, I think about this scene in Jurassic Park and just it wiggling on the spoon. And it just makes me really want to eat jelly. But that's an aside. And yeah, I kind of got interested in writing when I was quite young. I was in primary school and I wrote a script, and it was like basically, again, as Kim was saying, it was ripping off The Mummy entirely. Like I just loved The Mummy for some reason. I was totally into it. I'd watch it like every day. And I wrote this script. It was about these school students who went to Egypt on a school holiday. I don't know what school they were going to. My school could barely afford to take us like to Motherwell. I remember going to Motherwell and be like, "Whoa, we're so far away from home. This is crazy." But yeah, so I basically ripped off The Mummy, and I sent the script into STV, like thinking they're definitely going to make this thing. They're going to be, this is the best thing I've ever read. It's literally written on paper by hand with pencil. And they were really nice, and they sent me a letter back actually, and they were like, "Oh, thanks very much for your script and all that." So that was nice of them. Kind of encouraged me to keep going. And then where do we go next? So I'm jumping a kind of major kind of like step here, but eventually ended up going to uni. I went to Uni of Glasgow to study film and television, but it was so heavily theoretical that I like dropped out after the first year. I was like, I need to make things. I can't just sit here and listen to people talk because it's just not for me. So I dropped out, and then I came to Cumbernauld College, or NCL, and I got my degree in sound production. But I was also in a band at the time, so basically I was getting a degree in sound production, but I was also being able to record my band. And I've got a wee picture here that I managed to pull off Getty Images, probably a wee bit illegally. This is us playing at a festival down south back in the day. This is just as I was starting to kind of get back into filmmaking, like practically again. So I did that HND. I started making music videos for the band, and that's what kind of got me back into the kind of visual kind of art side of things and making films. It was good fun as well. Can't complain. I had a good time playing in the band. Saw some cool stuff. Saw Slayer, like the band Slayer, were wearing their own merch, and I was just like, that's surely a faux pas. They were very good though. Right? Good accomplished musicians. Anyway, so I got my BA in commercial music at UWS and did like part of it here as well. And then I worked some really, really terrible jobs, like some of the worst jobs I've ever been involved in. Like jobs you would sit in your car before you went for your shift and just be like, "Oh man, what life choices got me here?" I was like, I should have done something different with my life. And then I was like, you know what? I really like filmmaking. I'm going to try and get really kind of push myself back into filmmaking. So I applied to go to Glasgow School of Art, and I somehow managed to get in. And I did my master's degree in sound for the moving image, because for me, that was a kind of logical way to go from playing in a band and doing sound production to kind of moving into filmmaking. So I started doing sound for film. And it was there that I made my first kind of proper short film. And there's a still from this film up there on the top of the screen. So that's when I kind of figured out, okay, I actually want to write and make films. Like I really enjoy the sound stuff, but that was kind of what I was really, really wanting to do. So I made this film, but also won a BAFTA for it. So that was really nice. I got a BAFTA New Talent Award for the sound design for my film. I spent like 3 months on the sound. The sound was great. The film was terrible. Like the story was awful. I really feel sorry for everybody who worked on it who wasn't involved in the sound stuff, because like the sound was great, but the story was atrocious. But I've learned a lot since then. So yeah, I won this BAFTA New Talent Award, which was a grand night out. I actually ended up getting into a fight at the ABC afterwards because somebody sucker punched my mate in the face. So it was a very, very strange night. I ended up with like a dislocated shoulder and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, the moral is don't drink free cider at the BAFTAs all night, then go to the ABC. It's a bad combination. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked again. So I somehow managed to get a job working as a dubbing mixer, which is like just post-production sound mixer, working in telly. And actually, the reason I got that job was because the short film that I made at art school, I took it to a kind of short film sharing night thing at a place in Edinburgh, and I met John McPhail there, who's another filmmaker, and he was just finishing up his first feature film. He watched my short film. He said he really liked the sound, and he put me in touch with the people who mixed the sound for his feature film. I sent him an email looking for work experience, and then within a couple of weeks, I was in there mixing an hour-long program for BBC, going, "Oh my god, I'm so out my depth here! I'm like, this is actually going to go on the telly." I'm just like there going, trying to find my way about the bloody mixing desk. But the thing was, I'd used Pro Tools at college in my sound production course, and I knew Pro Tools inside out. So actually going into that job, it was basically just, I was just getting flung in at the deep end, but I kind of knew how to swim, so to speak, because I'd had that hands-on practical experience at college. The University of Glasgow would never have prepared me for that job. So I worked on programs for BBC. I worked on a doc for Channel 4, which was probably the scariest moment of my life, because I had to go to a meeting with a director and an editor from London, and I sat in the room going, I'm just a wee guy in my mid-20s here, and these guys are like making telly for years, and they're trusting me to do all the post-production sound on this primetime documentary. And I was like properly like, so I was just like, how the hell did I get here? Basically, most of my stories end up with me sitting in a room going, how the hell did I get here? But I think the most important thing is just go with it and see what happens. Like, the worst thing that can happen is people can sack you. But I mean, there's worse things in life, I suppose. But as I started kind of doing more of the sound production things, I started to realize that it wasn't really the area I was wanting to look at. I was really wanting to make things myself. I was wanting a bit more to use more in creative voice, as opposed to kind of being in what was more a technical role, working in telly. Like, I think working as a sound mixer and a sound designer in film is a bit more artistic and creative, because you get a chance to design things and create things. Whereas when you're doing things for TV, you're essentially just, very low budget TV or kind of documentary, you're mostly just kind of cleaning up bad production sound. So it wasn't a creative outlet for me. It was more of a technical exercise. But you know what? I learned a lot. And it was good. But I decided to quit the job, and I went freelance. And I did actually camera work for BBC and STV. And another kind of weird, how the hell did I get here moment was when the first day that I did camera work for STV, and they handed me this kind of massive, crazy big camera. And they're like, you ever used one of these before? And I was like, yeah, definitely. I had no idea what I was doing with it. I was like, I've shot everything on DSLRs up until now. And they handed me this beast of a thing. And I just had to work it out. I went and shot my stuff. It all went well. Managed to figure out how to work the camera. I came back. I needed to edit the piece for that night. And they were like, you've used Media Composer before, yeah? And I was like, yeah, definitely. I hadn't touched it ever in my life. I was using Premiere. And I had to basically figure out how to work Media Composer, like, as I was editing something. So that was fun. But you know what? I did it. I managed to do it. I worked there for like 2 years freelance, and it was a cracking time. And we won an award. So we won an RTS award, but we all couldn't go to the ceremony. So a bunch of us went over to somebody's house and watched it online. And then for some reason, the person's house we went to had all these little trophies. So yeah, we got this picture and we won the award, and we just thought, let's just pretend we've got the award in our hands. But that was good fun. Can't complain. Yeah, and also, so I've basically now I'm a serial like student essentially. I've been like a student for most of my life at this point. My girlfriend or my fiance says to me, if you do one more degree, I'm going to kill you essentially. So I've been giving it the trouble, but I think she's starting to kind of be a bit more laid back about it now. But as I was freelancing, the work was starting to dry up, and we were just about to buy a house. And I got an offer for a full-time job back at the sound mixing place that I was working at. And it was really good money, really good hours. And I was like, right, cool, I'm going to take it because financial stability, I'll buy a house. I might not like the work, but you know what? Fair enough. But at the same time, I'd been writing a lot of scripts, and I'd applied for this course at Cali Uni to do TV fiction writing. And I didn't really think I was going to get in. But I got an interview, and I was like, I'm going to get the interview. I'll go along for the experience and I'll see what it's like, but I probably would get it. And I got a phone call like a couple hours after my interview saying, oh, you've got a place in the course, and also you're getting a scholarship from Warner Brothers. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. That's great. And I had to phone up the guy who offered me this job and be like, look, man, I can't take this job anymore. I've just got this like degree offer and to get this scholarship thing. So I ended up going back to working freelance, whilst like freelancing essentially full time, whilst I was doing this 2 days a week, full-time master's degree as well. And it was crazy. I hardly slept for like a year when I was doing this degree. But it was amazing because I got to write loads of scripts. I got to learn about writing. The lecturers themselves were writers. I'd actually studied one of the lecturers' plays when I was at high school. So it was a really, really great course. And the script that I wrote at the end of that course got me a writing agent off the back of it. The agent was associated with the course, and he read my script and he was like, I want to represent you. So yeah, I started doing that. And then I got, like, not a couple of months after I graduated, I got commissioned by BBC Scotland to write a comedy drama pilot script. I got a couple of like sketch script commissions and all that. And I just started getting writing work. So I was like, nah, nice one. Here we go. Getting cracking with it. Then I directed a short film called When Abby Met Emmy, which premiered at the BFI at South Bank in London for BFI Flair London LGBTQ plus film festival, and it went on to go across the whole world. Went to Hong Kong, went to Australia, and it played at some of the biggest LGBTQ plus film festivals in the world. And actually, Wicked Queer, which was in Boston a couple of weeks ago, I got to do an online Q&A, which was awesome, and I got to see this really, really cool, really cool horror LGBTQ film that was just one of the funniest and best looking horror films I've ever seen. I'm going to see if I can find the link to show it to you guys, because I thought it was really, really innovative. And I've been writing shorts and sketches and making stuff, and I've basically been doing a bit of everything, like camera, editing, writing, directing, producing, all sorts, just to get things made, essentially, because I'm kind of in the mindset that I don't want to sit around writing funding applications for stuff. I'd rather just grab my camera and go and make something. And that's what we did with Abby and Emmy, because nobody was going to give us money to make it. So I shot a couple of wedding videos, made a wee bit of cash off that, and then put it into, making this short film, and it's done really well for us. So we're well chuffed with it. And this is what I've been doing over the summer. So I finished working on a feature film script. So on the left here is the kind of the basic plan that I had for the script. And I shared it to my Twitter, and somebody got back to me with this image of Charlie from Always Sunny, because apparently that's what it's coming across as. But for me, planning is the most important part of writing for some reason, and that just kind of helps me get through it. So I wrote this feature film script. I've actually got it here. It's a big beast, a big chunker. So I managed to finish that. And I'm working kind of more ideas, because the idea is I really want to make a no-budget feature film at some point in the future. That one is too big a budget. There's a car that crashes into a yacht and all sorts, so it's not going to happen in a low budget. But that's my next plan, is to start kind of working on things like that. And then thankfully I've not been killed yet, but I'm starting a new master's degree at the Conservatoire, and I'm looking at learning and teaching in the arts, and specifically looking at how I can use video, like kind of short kind of YouTube videos as a kind of as a learning tool. So I'm probably going to be subjecting you guys to some of my methods of learning and things like that, and using YouTube videos and whatnot. But that'll be really fun. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to getting stuck into it. The course seems pretty good. And the last thing I wanted to touch upon is, in this industry, it's a tough industry, but if you're resilient and you keep going, you will get stuff. Like, there's been times where I've not had any work on, and I've just had to make my own stuff, but usually that's led to me getting work at some point. But you get loads of rejections and really bad reviews as well. You can put your heart and soul into something, and one person on Facebook can leave you a review that will stay with you to your last days. I actually love this review, to be honest. It was Janice, whatever her second name was, just put on this sketch that I made. Not funny and rather disgusting. And actually, do you know what? I kind of take pride in that. I love that I've disgusted Janice. I love that Janice has watched one of my videos and went, ugh. That really honestly makes me smile. I kind of want to frame this.
Where did the 3 likes come from as well?
I don't know. Janice's pals, probably.
She probably messaged our pals to say something like this.
All our 3 pals. Oh, poor Janice, man. But so I said to some folks last night, I was like, if I ever do a comedy special, this is what it's going to be called. If I ever do a fringe show, this is what it's going to be called. But I've actually started to kind of keep a list of all my rejections, because I think it's easy for, like, I mean, the presentation, I've pretty much showed you the highlights, all the good stuff that's happened, but a presentation about all the rubbish stuff that's happened would be infinitely longer. Like, it's just constantly, I actually kind of numb to rejection now. It's just when you see the email come through, and it's like, thank you very much for your submission. We had loads more submissions than we normally get, and that the standard was just so high, and you're just like, ah, cool, right, okay, whatever, delete. So like, I think it's just part of it, but I think it's nice to just like think about making your own stuff and finding ways to do it, because it's just like, I think people forget that the film and TV industry is an art form as well. It's not just about the business. It's not just about making money. It's a way for you to express yourself. And if you've got to ask people for money to express yourself, what a weird system that is. So I think it's good to have your kind of own agency to make your own work. So that's what I'm going to try and do a wee bit more of. Less application forms and just more getting the camera out and making some stuff.